PT, how did you feel about the post-fight antics?
Loved it. I was, nearly asleep in my cereal here, so I needed something to kick me up. Look, I found the event tough tonight. I really did. Out of all the pay-per-views we've done, I think this one dragged a lot. And maybe it's because it kicked off with Kron Gracie and that fight. I mean, it was tough from the word go. Then we had Ivloev obviously comes in and he's fighting this new guy who put in some great moments in the fight, but you're expecting him to get in there and get the job done. Lopez puts on a great performance, but again, we go the distance. And then obviously there's the co-main event and the main event. I just felt as though there wasn't the ebbs and flows we usually see on these high stake cards. There's a lot of one-way traffic tonight, and I think that really made the event kind of chug along. Yeah. So when that happened at the end, it was like I was at a rave concert or something. I was like, oh my God, look at this. What is going on? This is wild. He took the man's jacket. Give the man his jacket back.
Yeah.
I loved it. That was my favorite part.
And at least he added some spark.
Yeah, I did see the clip. Someone, thank you to Andrew Feldman, who is always great with these clips. So he takes off the jacket. Sean is wearing like this cool red leather jacket, and he takes it off.
The Thriller jacket. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
He takes it off and he hands it to someone, like thinking like, okay, we're about to do this. The person who takes it is Merab, who's like has a huge shit-eating grit on his face. He's standing in between them, like in the Dana White slot, and he just like tries it on. Yeah, so
he wanted a piece of that action.
Yeah, but is that? Here's the thing: the night doesn't end in booze for Aljo if that moment doesn't happen. No one at 35 is as popular as O'Malley. So if you're Aljo, are you leaving being like, you guys kind of robbed me of my moment? Or are you happy because at least now there's some juice going into your next fight, Chuck?
Jeez, I don't know, man. I don't think it's a bad thing. Like so if you just kind of rewind and you say, we talked about this fight and you say, what would it mean for Sterling? It was a big thing for him, right, to go in here and win this fight. He did that. It wasn't emphatic and it wasn't the most thrilling fight. He sort of embraces that. And I think that there's general dissension. I always think that this happens at these bigger shows where it's a sellout and there's a lot of, I guess a lot of expectation and the frenzy is whipped up earlier in the night and then it just sort of dies on the vine over the course of the night like this. And so, people are just not in the best of moods. And for whatever reason, he just always strikes me as a little tone deaf to this sort of stuff. And so he doesn't, I'm not trying, you're not trying to be critical, but I feel like he occasionally will egg on in moments where maybe you should mollify or, he'll kind of double down in moments when he should maybe swing it the other way or whatever. And it felt a little bit like that. But at the same time, I'm like, if that's who he's going to be it. You know what I mean? If that's who you're going to be it. It was kind of like the John Jones for the longest time. You're like, well, pick a lane. John Jones, pick a lane and just be that guy. So I think it adds. I think it does add something. I like it when they bring guys in like that because why can't you set the fight? Why can't you do this? Why can't you get the expectation for it already? In the pokers and put it in the fire. I like that sort of thing. So I was happy with where it ended in that sense. But at the same time, I don't know about Aljo. I don't know, man. It's like I don't feel like we moved. If anything, I feel like he might. We'll see how it plays out, but it just doesn't seem like he can get out from behind the 8 ball that way. Like he's going to stay back there, and I'm not sure he'll ever emerge from this.
Man, that was a definitive win over a guy who doesn't lose very often, an Olympic gold medalist. This should have been the performance. I also kind of think the crowd was probably a little restless. It was very late. They had just seen a somewhat, lackluster co-main the whole night, or the main card at least, was a little bit lackluster. The prelims were fine. So I think all that wasn't working in his favor, but I was surprised at the amount of boos. I mean, like this was being billed as the closest that he'd be able to fight to his, to his hometown or his home neighborhood of Long Island. So that's a little surprising, but you're going up against Sean. Sean fighting for the belt, even though he hasn't fought since October, and even though by the time he fights, it'll probably be a year, is probably the best thing for Sterling because at least people care about Sean, right? Like he's such a big star. Yes. And so this will elevate the stakes. my hunch, Pizzi, is he's probably annoyed that he got booed, but once the dust settles, he's like, all right, I got a money fight on my hands. Who gives a crap?
He got the juice. Like, people care about this fight. Regardless of where they like or they don't like Aljo, people are going to be tuning in to see this fight. That's what he's going to come away with in the end. Yes, I think you're right in the regard that, like, if it was ever going to go right, if it was ever going to be a hero moment for Aljo, it should have been this one, but it wasn't. And I think that is going to take some time to get over. But at the end of the day, they're after selling that fight already. Like, everyone wants to see it. I can't wait for that fight to happen. Look, a lot of people probably want Aljo to get his ass whooped by Sean O'Malley. But they will be watching that fight for that reason. But as from a business point of view, from a prize fighting point of view, that's worth its weight in gold. What happened there in the octagon after that fight?
What do you think of the UFC? What do you think the UFC wants? You know what I mean? It's like you're dealing with a guy, and it's just, we've seen this with other champions, but you're just dealing with a guy that, for whatever reason, man, I don't know what the pay-per-view sales would be on this or whatever, but like, the pop, that kind of spreading energy on social media, and all that, the thing that starts to happen for guys who demonstrate greatness on, it's not there. So I'm like, you'd have to think the UFC was like, all right, Sean O'Malley, your time's about to come, and don't blow it.